Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I'm excited to be here today, and I am going to be joined with a guest momentarily, but she hasn't arrived yet, so the show must go on. I am really excited to be here with you today and just kind of take a few minutes to check in. We are well into the year 2021. And as we move forward and think about where we want to be the end of this year, it's time for us to kind of reflect and think about, what did last year teach us? What were some lessons that we learned that we want to apply so that we have an even better year this year? We had no warning for a lot of the changes that we were disrupted into making. And so it's so important now to kind of take some time to catch our breath and think about what we want our next steps to be. So, with that in mind, I'm going to plant a little seed in your ear about mastering your success. I am a part of a 12-part series to where we kind of dive into topics a little deeper and really ensure that we're successful for the year 2020, in addition to creating a community of support that helps us to move forward in our business and personal life. So, Master Your Success is a program or a curriculum or events. I don't know what you want to call it. This virtual um, stage that we have now, you don't know what to call things, but it is the opportunity to have one on one interaction with me and my partner, Sabrina Lowry, with a wealth of experience on how we can kind of navigate through these waters that we're currently in. So I was overjoyed to come up with this collaboration project with Sabrina. We were just brainstorming, and one thing led to another, and here we are. So, as a mother of 15 and currently with 8 of them doing e-learning, I know what it's like to be in a situation to where, things can be chaotic. You feel like, man, I just want to catch my breath. I would just want to have a system or, a method of doing these things that I know that always will work out. Well, we know that is kind of like pie in the sky thinking, because life never goes as planned. However, it's important to have a toolbox, right? A list of strategies or things that you can do in the event that things happen. So I think about it as survival first aid kit, right? I learned this lesson very hard myself because I struggled for 13 years with depression. I was hospitalized 3 times. And, I just thought 13 years is a long time. Am I ever going to get out of this? Um, the thing about it that was unique for my situation was I didn't see the 13 years of depression that I was in. I only saw a glimpse of it because I was so stressed out, so tired, so much on this hamster wheel of working and doing these things that, really were not moving me forward. My life centered around my kids and my spouse and all their needs, and I didn't even know who I was. I had lost my identity and what it was to be the unique version of myself. So after my last hospitalization, that's when I came up with a strategy that I call Fresh Start that helped me to overcome that depression and maintain a life depression free. That was really the basis that catapulted me into being a lifestyle designer, which is the term that I use because these days everybody is a coach. What makes you different? What's your secret sauce? So, my secret sauce was depression didn't look the same to me that I thought it looked for everybody else. To me, depression was, oh, being in the bed, not being motivated to get up, and, not really being productive. So, how could I be depressed when I'm taking my kids to soccer, when I'm doing PTA, when my husband, who's the pastor, is preaching and I'm regularly at church in attendance? All these different things that I was juggling, how could I be depressed? So, needless to say, I think that's what really kept me in that emotional roller coaster for so long, was the fact that I didn't even realize I was depressed. And I was having success in things that were related to what I thought I could control. And that's the thing that just kind of left me blindsided, because I was actively doing a lot of things, but I still was feeling unfulfilled. So it was like, how can I be having my kids achieving what they need academically, but then I'm still not happy, or, feeling like I'm mattering, or, not even, just going through the motions. So that was the cycle for 13 years. And once I had my last hospitalization, I just thought, you know what? I can't keep blaming other people, my kids, my spouse, my circumstances. I have to take accountability for my own actions, for my decisions or lack of decision making, whatever the case was. And so it was there that I learned to just put down the victim mindset, the whole thing of woe is me, I have it so hard, and I began to say, how can I be successful with this? So my upbringing really surrounded with me being a high achiever, making good grades, being a great performer. And so for me, this period of going through depression was something that was foreign. It was like, how could I be successful in this? All the way up to college, where I met my husband, graduating with a marketing degree, and then coming home, being a stay-home mom to these children, let alone a larger amount of children than what your average person has, but not feeling successful. So I had to kind of come to terms with that and realize that, hey, you know what? You don't know everything, and you need help. You need to collaborate, delegate, whatever it takes in order for you to accomplish some of these goals that you're thinking are within your control, and they're not. So that was really the basis that kind of helped me to move forward in beginning to relax, get comfortable in my own skin, not seek the validation of others, and begin to be a person that help empower women with knowledge about what depression looks like, because it looks different for different people, and just being able to shed light on, there's something just not quite right about this. I'm achieving these goals, I'm being promoted, or I'm making this money, or whatever the case is, but I just don't feel like I am doing what I love, or excited to get out of bed, or all these different things, right? So that was really the catalyst that really got me into being more verbal about my story and sharing it with other women, especially so that they can begin to recognize that they're not the only ones that are going through some of these struggles. My case, I'm a mom who is trying to make sense of, being a mom, being a wife, not just any wife. My husband was an officer in the military, and then he also is a pastor. So I've got all these different levels of leadership. So I was just hiding behind all these different masks, because I wanted to be perfect. And we know that's an illusion. I'm telling you now, here, this is the secret is out. Nothing in life is perfect. Okay. And so even though it looks like it is, I just challenge you to think about all these highlight reels that we scroll through on our phone. Okay. So we look at these photos. I challenge you to think, how many times did it take them to take that picture before they got that perfect photo? Right. So we have so much that we have going on in terms of recognizing that people want you to see the highlight reel. And I get that, right? So you need to realize that you can't believe everything on social media. It's not always authentic. So thank you so much, Dom, for being on this morning. That was one of my guests. That was John Dixie, who's on. So I challenge you to go back and listen to his conversation, because we had a great one talking about some of the challenges that we have in overcoming depression, right? So when you're able to overcome depression, your life just is able to be seen in a different lens, right? And I'm going to tell you something as simple as my guests not arriving yet. There would have been a time that I've been like, oh my gosh, they're not here. And what am I going to do? What am I going to say? As you can see, I'm not at a loss for words. And there is always some organic reason why things happen. Don't fight that. It is such a great space to be in, to where I feel like I don't have to always have all the answers. I can just show up, be my authentic self, and take whatever comes my way. And so that's a great feeling, a great place to be in, because it didn't used to always be that way. I used to always feel like, hey, I got to have this going on. And if this doesn't happen, what am I going to do next? And always having a plan B, C, and D, which I get that, but you have to recognize, what's your message? What are you showing up for? If you know clearly what your message is and what it is that you're trying to teach and empower people with, you can spread that message at any time, on any stage, any platform, because you know that you know that you know what you're here to do. So that's pretty much the deal with having your purpose and understanding that. And so these are some of the things that we are going to tackle in Mastering Your Success in 2021, that series, because it is going to be a great opportunity for you to take that marathon journey, right? So often as everybody is getting their New Year's resolutions, they're starting at the gym, right? They are doing things just A1 perfect. For how long? We don't know. It's usually like 6 to 8 weeks, and then everybody drops off. Well, I have learned, one of my guests taught me this, that we are accustomed to being on a failure cycle. So it's like common knowledge. We all say, hey, everybody's going to be pumped up, ready to go by March. Nobody's going to even know what those goals and aspirations were, right? So we've come accustomed to that. We have conditioned ourselves for that. It's a failure cycle. Well, I am willing to say, hey, I don't want to be on that failure cycle anymore. So I got with a partner and we're like, look, we're going to spread this thing out over 12 months and do it strategically, so that one, we can accomplish our goals and we can make them realistic. And every month we can build on what it is that we want to accomplish in the end of 2021, that can make our lives that much better, and enjoy the journey and the process. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, I challenge you to go on my page and look up Master Your Success, or you can just get on the bit.ly link right now, which is the bit.ly/Master Your Success 2021, and you can sign up. And so this is about taking a journey, right? Not a quick fix, not some formula that you learn that you don't implement, right? How many books and programs have we all been a part of? And then after a couple weeks, we haven't even remembered what it was that they taught us. We've taken notes. The notebook is somewhere in the corner or on a shelf somewhere. We never reread them or open it up or have any kind of game plan. So the key is implementation. So our first session that we're going to be talking about this Saturday is on your planning and how you can take action, right? How you can get started with some of these goals. So if you're knowing that you're going to have to get started, that will probably have some impact on what your goal will be, right? So one of my big goals for 2021 is to collaborate. Listen to the word, collaborate with Oprah Winfrey and Jimmy Fallon, right? So by that, it's like, okay, I want to collaborate with them. They have a stage, an audience that they serve. So if I'm collaborating with them, that means I have to bring something to the table. So what am I bringing to the table? Well, this year I want to impact 21,726 people in some form or fashion. So, what am I going to do that? I have my book that's back there. I have speaking engagements, my podcasts, right? All these different platforms I'm using to impact that audience because I wanted to grow and talk about the importance of mental wellness. So that's what I'm bringing to the table. And, doing this while having 8 kids e-learning. One of them is a senior. So this whole thing, she just turned 18. She had to have a party at home with only 3 or 4 guests, because of this situation, current landscape that we're in. Now, is that the most exciting thing to have a party for your 18th birthday and you only have like 4 or 5 guests in addition to your family? It's not the best because, we have been seen as a party place when it comes to some of our monumental birthdays because I just don't have birthdays every month all the time, even though I think my kids have every month we have a birthday except for August. But I learned very early on when they were younger that we're just going to have monumental birthdays 13, 16, 18, 21. Okay, that's about it because I'd be doing them all the time, stressed out, trying to figure out how I'm going to entertain everybody, do all the cooking and all this, decorating, all that. I said, hey, we are done with this. So now we have monumental birthdays. So because we don't have them all the time, those monumental birthdays are very important and they have a lot of guests. Not only do they invite their friends, but their siblings invite friends. So it turns out to be a big to do really quick. So this was definitely somewhat of a culture shock for her. And she is going to be experiencing graduation during a pandemic still. They are offering the option for her to be in person at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Okay, so that is plenty of room for us to spread out and not, and to take into account social distancing. So that is where her graduation is scheduled to be. So, it's just, you have to roll with the punches. You have to realize that life is not in your control, but you have to make the best of the situation as it arises. So, as a mother, I have to remember when I have my 6 and 9-year-old, that life, I have to see life through their eyes. I have to realize that life is going to go on. I have to maintain a sense of positivity. I have to smile. I have to, have fun with them and, make fun and memories out of the limited things that I have, running outside, playing kickball, right? Playing chase and, racing down our driveway, just anything that you could do to kind of, capture that moment of being a kid and having fun and interacting with them on their level and allowing them to get outside and get some exercise. That's a good one too, because a lot of my children have not really been out a lot of places since March. It's almost a year that they have kind of been on this lockdown, and it is by choice. We have a large family, and I'm really not comfortable with exposing them to a lot on a regular basis because, there are so many of them. And if one of them was to get sick and, not being able to have visitors at the hospital or whatever the situation is, I'm not interested in that. So I have to do what I can control, keep them here. And, we just modify our surroundings in a way that works for us. Now, that's my story. Somebody else, it may be different. If you have 1 or 2 children and, you have play dates set up to where your kids have friends over or whatever it takes. But hey, mine is like, look, go downstairs and play with your sister. Go upstairs and play with, your brother. Hey, we got a whole community in one household. So it makes it pretty fortunate for us. And if that doesn't work, hey, go play with your dad, or my husband, hey, go play with your mom. So over here, one of the things they like to play is being on video. My daughter Hope is the youngest. She's like, hey, I'm going to go in here with mom And she just gets on the camera, waves at everybody, says hi, and, tries to put math problems in the chat box when I'm on live stream doing workshops and things like that. So she just is not a stranger to the camera, but she stayed home with me during a lot of my growth when it came to building my business. So she understands what it's like to be on camera, to have something to say, to give eye contact, just a number of things that I haven't even taught her. So this whole adjustment for them has not been hard when it comes to remote learning because they see me doing it every day. And as they would say, Mom is on that computer again. Is she ever going to get off? That's what they say. But, when you are passionate about what you do, sometimes, 5 minutes can turn into an hour and before you even know it, right? I mean, we know that when we're scrolling, we're on there with no agenda, oh, I'm just going to be on here for a few minutes, no timer that we set. And we just look up and it's an hour later and we're wondering where the time went. So that's a quick tip if you were listening is whenever you're on these platforms, we have a new one that's out. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's Clubhouse and it is the new craze. So I challenge you that when you get on some of these platforms to set a timer, right? It's not that you don't want to miss out on things because we have that fear of missing out, but it is to do what works for you and making sure that it improves your life, not take away from it. So if it begins to be a distraction that stops you from income producing activities, that's a sign you need to get off of it, right? Or find ways that you can marry the two. How can you marry your income producing activities with that platform? And so this gives you a reason why you want to take part in some of these platforms. And what's your message? So if I'm on Clubhouse, I want to be on talking about the importance of mental wellness. I want to talk about how you can know the signs when your life is unfulfilled, or how you can set boundaries, or how you can say no so that you don't put too much on your plate, or, how you can be consistent even though you're juggling many responsibilities, so these are the things that you want to think about. What value are you going to bring to this platform? A lot of times we get into these different platforms and we don't have an agenda. And then we end up sucked into whatever somebody else's agenda is. And we forget about our own story. We're overwhelmed. We get stressed out. We get behind on our work. And, we're avoiding things, procrastinating, all because we start entering things without intention. When you have intention, it really helps you be mindful of accomplishing whatever objective that you have. So this is something that we want to make sure that we are mindful of. All right. So I am looking really quickly. This is real life, y'all, to see if there is any message from my guests because, it's highly unusual that these things happen, but they happen for whatever reason. If you have followed me at all, you know that things can get crazy on my side and it is what it is, right? I was on a virtual birthday party. I'm the host of the virtual birthday party last night. So I am actively on here. We are switching to another platform. I'm sharing my screen because the guest of honor had to go on a TV live stream. And so we had to have a opportunity to see her live. So I had to share my screen, get on Facebook, follow on the Facebook, even though it was live streamed on TV, but it was also streamed on the guest of honor's homepage on her Facebook. So I'm doing this. My husband gets home and, in my office, minding my own business. Next thing you know, the screen gets crazy. And I'm like, what the heck happened? The video goes off. I'm freezing. The people are freezing. Well, my kids were in the midst of doing their chores because he told them to get their chores done. And one of them unplugged the internet. So the internet gets unplugged, but it's so good to be in the company of the right kind of people. So even though my internet got unplugged, the broadcast still went on because one of the guests who was in the virtual party got her phone and live streamed the segment from her cell phone, right, and projected it onto her computer. So she was able to still maintain the level of, seeing the video live and not disrupting anything outside of the fact that it was on the phone instead of being on the screen. But they were able to still follow along. So you have to be prepared for life's unexpected things. And when people know you, they love to be a part of whatever you're a part of. You think about it, your friends, you're not always looking to them to do everything perfect. It's those things that happen that make you laugh, right? And those are memories that you can really resonate and come back to those days when you're not feeling the best, right? So, we can laugh and say, girl, remember you had that party and, I got knocked off. Girl, the kids unplugged the internet. Okay. And then we can laugh about it. And I didn't get upset. I mean, I just was like, what happened? My husband's like, oh, they're doing their chores. I thought, okay. He said, well, once somebody unplugged it, hey, it happens. People understand. So, you get into that thing, but I'm live streaming, I'm recording or whatever. And, it really was not that bad. I was not screaming, running to the other room to see what was going on. I just sat here patiently, let it upload again, and life went on. So you have to be prepared and recognize that, yeah, you might get a new car, right? But you still may also get a flat tire. So it doesn't matter the things that we have, whether they're new, used, old, whatever. There are still things that could happen, such as your house. You could be doing everything right, a natural disaster come through, and you need a roof repaired, right? So these things could happen. So life's obstacles are not going to stop because we choose to be happy, or we choose to use our voice, or we choose to get out of depression, or all these other things. We just have to have a survival kit, first aid, whatever it is that can help us not stay down when life's obstacles kind of break us down sometimes, right? We just can't stay there. So in that survival kit, sometimes you might need a rope to pull yourself out of the well. You might need a life jacket so that you don't drown. You might need, some antiseptic so that you don't catch an infection, right? All these different things we may need at different junctures because life is not going to be perfect, right? And so we're not preaching perfection. We're preaching how we can minimize the downward turn that we could have, right? So for me, it was 13 years being depressed on this roller coaster, up and down, right? For 13 years. I tell my story so you don't have to have that be your story. You can learn, hey, you know what? I heard her story and, I'm taking action. I'm going to knock this thing out in a day. Okay. I'm not going to let it linger so that it can turn into something worse. So that's really my talking point for today. But before I get off here, I want to remind you, Master Your Success 2021. That is the workshop series that we are having starting this Saturday at 8 o'clock to 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. And it's a monthly 12-part series. The whole itinerary or agenda for the 12 months is outlined on the link. And let me see, I probably can just put it up here now. I have so many things going on, y'all. It is hard for me to keep it straight, but I am excited. You actually can get on Eventbrite too. So it is so much to see when we can all come together and help one another, on this journey, right? So I am going to update this later because I can't do two or three things at one time. All right. So I want to conclude with remembering to smile. So you're going to think, okay, what does that mean? Well, it's an acronym. So SMILE are the 5 pillars to help us to be proactive with our mental wellness. So each of the letters stand for one of the pillars that we need to make sure that we're mindful of so that we don't go into Lachelle's journey, of 13 years of depression. So the first letter is S, and that is sleep. How much are you sleeping? You need 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Okay. So that looks like putting your phone on do not disturb, putting it in a different room and setting your alarm, right? Going to bed peacefully. If you need to read or, if you need to do something, read before you go to bed. Turn off the TV, all these extra distractions so you can get a good night's rest. Now, reading is good because I have the best sleep when I read before I go to bed. I don't know if it's just something where, your mind is doing something productive. You wake up energized about the ideas, innovation that comes your way, which gives you that ability to jump out of bed and be excited. So sleep is the first thing. Mood, right? What is your mood like? What do people associate you with? What kind of mood? Are you happy? Do you smile? Are you approachable, right? When I go to the grocery store, so many people approach me. I do not have a uniform on or anything like that when I go into different types of establishments. But lo and behold, every time I go different places and people are confused about something, they will ask me, men, women, whoever, do you know where the Worcestershire sauce is? That's what somebody asked me one time at Kroger, right? That was a gentleman who did a little cooking. And I was like, well, I thought it would be here. I walked with him because I just knew where I thought it would be and it wasn't there. So we both were baffled. But people approach you because you're approachable. There's something about that energy. They feel comfortable. Strangers will approach you if you have the right mood, right? So thinking about what kind of mood, what kind of energy you're portraying to other people. The next letter is inner voice, right? So what are you telling yourself? Now, so for me being in this cycle, one of the reasons it lasted so long was my own inner voice, the things I'm telling myself. You need to do better. You're not accomplishing this. Now, so I challenge you that if this is something that sounds familiar to you, when you're making statements to yourself, that is something you don't want to listen to. Statements are just judgments, criticism, the feedback that you don't need. So you need to change that statement to a question. So you are a failure. Why do you feel like you're a failure? Right? Begin to examine it. Ask these different questions because that will put you in a different mindset because your brain will begin to try to find the answers to those questions. So if you change the questions you ask, you're going to be on a different plane quickly, right? At a moment's notice. So I heard this very profound talk from Bob Proctor, and he said how he went from the scarcity mindset to the abundance mindset. So what he said was, I just got tired of it, and I started thinking, of ways that I can make money. So as I thought of ways that I could make money, I started writing them down, and then I started telling people I was available for work and all these different things. And so he said, that's how I did. And so people were like, okay, now that's easy and that's simple. So what's so magical about that? And he said, because I trained my brain to come up with solutions rather than problems. He said, before I started thinking about how I can earn money, I was thinking about how much money I owed, what debts, how I couldn't do anything, how I was limited. But once I flipped that and said, how can I earn money? All these opportunities started coming to me. And I started looking at it differently because what I began to ask myself and focus on changed. And so it started changing in a way to where I was able to think about wealth rather than debts and lack. Now, isn't that something? So, something as simple as reframing things can make a big difference. That's your inner voice. Now, another thing that we run into a problem with our inner voice is that if you are isolating yourself, you're not talking to anybody about some of the real issues you're having, how are you going to get positivity or any other perspective in your mind if you don't let it in? Right? So if we isolate ourselves, we can talk to ourselves only. How are we going to get some positivity? Right? So you got to rethink, why am I wanting to be by myself? How can let's just say you look at Jeff Bezos or some of these other people that are famous because they've made so much money or done whatever. You got Tesla with Elon Musk. They didn't do it by themselves, right? So while you're over here in a corner victimized, okay, woe is me, you're having what you want because you're isolating yourself from ideas, from people's energy. You're drained and worn out, and how are you going to energize yourself if you're not pouring anything back into yourself? Now, something as simple as that. Now, that was a game changer for me. So the next thing is laughter. Okay. So being willing to laugh at yourself. We get so caught up in, I can't believe she said that, or he offended me, or whatever. But you got to laugh at some of these things, right? You have to think about it. People can change the whole trajectory of your day, and they don't even know you, and you've given them place to do that. So you have to laugh at some of these things because people are making statements and judgments on what they see, right? So if they only see part of what you're willing to show them, you can laugh at that because they don't know what you deal with, right? So I can laugh because people say, man, you must be so organized. And I just laugh and say, you know what? God is good because my desk is a mess. Or my office is tore up, and my kids tell me that. Why? Because I write on mail. I write on scrap pieces of paper. I mean, I have notes everywhere. Okay. I am the note queen. I love taking notes, having ideas, right? But, I'm trying to transition from having all these notes everywhere to making sure that as I write it down, I'm implementing, right? So laughing at yourself. So I laugh and I say, hey, you guys, I'm going to get it organized one day, right? And it's just something that they can enjoy. I can enjoy. And it's also shows people that that they know you, right? It's not like you're trying to put on a front, pretend. It's like, hey, we know her desk is a mess. That's Lachelle, right? Okay. And then the last thing is energy. What kind of energy do you have? What kind of energy are you bringing to other people? Do you notice people's demeanor when you enter the room? Are they feeling energized, or do they feel like, oh no, here she comes again, rolling their eyes or whatever? Right. So, my kids, if they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing and I get in there, hey, what are y'all doing? Yeah, they might roll their eyes or do whatever, but that is what I'm supposed to be doing, is holding them accountable, right? So sometimes there are times that you don't have a lot of energy. That's why you have to get with a tribe of people that resonate with you, like-minded, so that you can feed each other's energy. Because every day is not a good day. I mean, there are times that my kids have school and I'm not motivated. So I say, hey, you know what, guys? No school today. We're having a mental health day. And they know what that is. It's like, mommy is not feeling good. Now, I'm not sick, physically, but I'm just at a point to where, I feel like I'm overwhelmed or whatever the case is. And so I just need to take a pause, rest, myself, do something fun. So we'll play a game or have a meeting or whatever, and, a breakfast or something. And it may just last a few hours, but you got to do that, right? You can't just keep running on empty if that happens. So remember to always have a smile in your day and sign up for that Master Your Success class. So thank you guys so much for watching today. This was a solo episode that I wasn't anticipating, but I want to give a shout out to my guest who was scheduled, Naomi Halbrook. I did do some posts on some of my social media. I challenge you to check out her pages. She is someone who is very passionate about mental wellness also. So check out her stuff, her sites, to see how you might be willing to support her. If she has a YouTube channel, things like that, Instagram, like, follow, whatever. This is what it takes a village, y'all. So let's help her out today and show her some love. And I will see y'all on the next episode. Bye for now.